we got something else, I guess, exciting. And I want to bring this up and talk about this because a lot of
Oh
people
boy.
have pointed out something that's really been quite disappointing, I guess you could say, to put it lightly. So this photo was shown, okay? Hot Toys posted this on social media, and there's that. What is that? There's like a meme or GIF or whatever with Captain America. It's like, yeah, so the comments are not going how you expected them to go, right? That's, I'd say, probably what happened here, right? Because look, if you're looking at really the stars of the show, you're like, oh, Miles looks great. Oh, Gwen looks great, and you're like, and that's a Marvel Legends. Like they threw a Marvel Legends in the middle of the screen here.
That's a Walmart Specials Titan series, is what that
Bro,
is.
Kiko, I don't know what the fuck this thing is, but as far as this angle of this photo, this figure looks really rough, really bad. It looks like a Marvel Legends. We got to see the rest of the figure. I don't know, but the head looks weird, does it not? The body looks weird. Like it's not even a suit. It's like I don't know.
It's a
So
textured piece of plastic.
right. So guys, overall though, Gwen looks great. Miles looks great. I'm excited to see more from this line because I'm really, really excited to see this film. I actually got to get my tickets. My brother was telling me we got to get our tickets for it because I love Spider-Verse 1. I saw they put Spider-Verse 1 Miles on sale yesterday. It was 20% off, I think, on Sideshow. So happy for the people that picked him up. I almost did. But that said, Kiko, should collectors be excited for the Spider-Verse 2 line? Because, dude, not, $29.9 aside and how shitty it looks in this photo, think about how many Spider-Man figures you could get from this film. I mean, is that exciting to you?
I want people to keep the same energy. That's what I always say. If you did not get the volume 1 versions of these, which are literally the exact same figures, except probably less for what you're getting of Miles and Gwen, don't be hyping up saying, I'm going to buy every single one. No, you're not. You're not. Because that's literally a lesser figure standing behind that figure that we're going to talk about in a second. But so let's talk about the elephant in the room, or the big plastic piece of shit in the room. This is what they do for characters that need posability, that are technically not going to be in. This is the way that Sully is. Okay. This is the way that Drax is. This is the way that a lot of those bigger figures are. And I mean, we saw it, the exposed joints with Carnage, and maybe we just got really excited about that. I mean, Carnage doesn't have the middle section, essentially, but maybe that's something that they're doing now, to where they're like, okay, you complained about posability, fine, here you go, double jointed, baby, and they just go ahead and put that hinge in there. I don't know. What will for one, I told you I got this Gwen. I don't like it. I put the head on my I think Queen of the Dark Spider. I made like a Spider Gwen, essentially. I'm sorry. No, Venom Pool. Gwenum Pool. That's what I went through. No, what am I trying to say?
A Gwenum Pool. Yeah, it was a Gwenum Pool.
I made Venom Gwen. Anyway, I put that.
Yeah, he put his Spider-Verse Gwen's head on Venom, Lady Venom body. Yeah.
Yeah, and that looked good. All that to say, that's the only thing I liked about it, because these like realistic head sculpts of these animated characters, everyone's like, oh cool, this is so neat, where's Kingpin, I want that one too. They just don't do it for me. I know these are unique bodies, that they're very small, they're very fragile. They just don't do it for me. But I don't even know where I was going. I got so frustrated about that. If they end up giving you an unmasked sculpt of this one, what's that going to look like on this cheap ass body? I mean, because they already look like cheap figures already, because they're animated, they're not lifelike, they're not realistic. What would a plastic stylized that look like? And that what gives me pause for concern. If this is more than $200, I will lose my mind, because I have no idea like why someone would pay that.
For the $29.99 one?
For the $29.99, yes.
Okay.
Because I know, I guarantee it's a brand new restyled body, because there's no other figure that has that. You probably can't use it on any other figure moving forward, because it's so unique and it's comically out of proportion. So, and then all the people out there that were shitting on the original $20.99, they're like, I don't like it, it's not posable enough. Now, guess who's laughing? Because at least that one was an actual Spider-Man in a suit.
Yeah.
This needs to be about a $150 line, like $150 for these type of figures, in my opinion. This is like the Sideshow equivalent of something. where they're still high-end collectibles, they're still nice, but don't you dare start approaching $300 on any of these things at all. I should not be excited. No.
Well, because the original Miles is what, 265?
That's
Something
insane.
like that?
But he comes with so much stuff. It's a piece of pants and some shoes and some hands. Come on now.
Without the Nike logo on them. That's
Without
the
the Nike
only
logo.
reason I did not buy that figure is because they didn't bother with the Nike logo.
And then they're like,
I think it was a
three
licensing
head
concern.
sculpts. Yeah, it's the same head sculpt. They just happened to lower the helmet down a little bit each time. And that's like, you didn't do anything special with that. Come on.
Yeah. Well, dude, I've been tempted by that figure so many times because I love the film. But when I look at the figure, a lot of people say that it's the best figure of whatever. I think it was last year that it came out, right? Or the year before.
And that blows
so
my mind.
A lot
I'm
of people
glad
say
people are excited. I know. I'm glad
everyone loves it.
Not me.
But it's just funny, Kiko, when I look at it.
When we went to replay, I'm like, here it is in hand. I'm like,
Well, see, that's the thing, Kiko. And we saw it in hand at replay, right? So it's just when I love the character, but when I look at the figure, I'm like, does it have enough shelf presence where I'm like overwhelmed with how good this looks, right? I like this character more than Mysterio, but do I think it's a better looking figure on my shelf than Mysterio? That's the tough part, right? And I still love Mysterio. I think he's great, but stuff like that, right? So those are decisions collectors are going to have to make. But as far as how different are these figures going to be than the original versions? That's the question, right? Especially Spider-Gwen, because Spider-Gwen, you can still find her like super cheap. So if they do make her again, it's got to be substantially different to warrant a remake.
Cardboard pieces, maybe.
Right, exactly, something like that. But Dean, what do you think? I mean, should collectors be excited about this line? I mean, it does seem like an exciting film, but that $20.99, questionable.
Yeah, it's honestly, I can't think of a single reason why they did this for $20.99, because it's like Kiko said, like, oh well, it's a bigger body, it needs articulation. It's like, okay, but they did the body. What's stopping them from just slapping a suit on top of it?
But they
What
texturized
is
this body. It's odd. You can see the
It's
texture on it.
So it's like you have the body,
It was
just
intentional.
wrap
It
it
was
in
intentional.
wrap it in the suit, because it's gonna stand out on the shelf and it's gonna look fucking weird. It's like, I'm buying a Hot Toys. I'm not buying a Mondo figure. If
Exactly,
I wanted
Mondo, that's what I was going
a
for, yeah.
comic Mondo figure, I would have just bought that. This is bizarre, and especially for a character that's so important to the film. It's not like it's going to be a fucking Spider-Punk that you might see for 8 seconds on screen. It's the main antagonist of the film. So it's like, why is it so vastly different? And in terms of the stylized proportions of the characters, I'm with you, Will. I don't think they lend well to the your overall display. I think if you really like these characters, I think a 12 scale is probably better. Like the Marvel Legends, the Figuarts, or the
yeah.
I forget the other company that did the Miles, but it's fantastic. But the first figure took so long to come out that the second movie is already coming out.
Good point.
That first figure's only been available for like less than a year, I think. It has not been that long since those figures came out. So it's like, is this? I honestly think if you really want a Miles or Gwen, yeah, buy the first ones because they're cheaper as shit, and totally pass on this $20.99 because it's just gonna look fucking weird on your shelf. It's not gonna match. It's such a weird.
Dean, I don't know how they could put the figure out looking like this. I mean, maybe it's like a stand-in or something, and they're working on it. But this is an atrocity.
At least fucking tell us prototype right here, like
right. This is rough.
I mean, you can see the neck is articulated. You can move it forward, and I mean, I guarantee you, it's going to be like one of those, like in art class, like the little models you can move around essentially and like pose, like to get like form and things like that. It might be like that. It may be the most articulated figure they've ever created because it's got neck rotation and all this. Who knows? But
now I will say, because I own the figure, the 3-0 guts from Berserk.
Yeah,
that is not on a traditional 6-scale body. It is like this. It is just a large action figure. But Guts also has a bunch of armor, a lot of elevated pieces of armor and floating pieces that when you pose it it kind of, the articulation disappears in that figure. That is not going to happen with this. It's going to look, I don't want to say goofy, but it's going to look weird.
Yeah.
Because at least with the Miles and the Gwen, the bodies are underneath a suit. So
and you guys made, so Dean, and I want to touch on this because you guys made a really interesting point that I do want to follow up on. So let's tie this into the idea of what Clone Wars has been like, right? Hot Toys has taken all those Clone Wars figures and they said, you know what, we're going to give you realistic head sculpts instead. But this Spider-Man, they didn't do that. There must have been some sort of license thing or something where they were like, we want you to make it kind of as is, right? Because Hot Toys seems to not really want to do that much. I mean, Buzz Lightyear, I guess, is another example, but think of it like this. With Spider-Gwen and Miles, you can put them on your shelf in a display with other Marvel figures, and they will fit in if you have the masks on. If you take the mask off, then at that point, you're starting to mix in with figures where it's going to look a little bit out of place, in my opinion, because you have a realistic head sculpt, and you have this one animated head sculpt right next to it, right? So you can avoid that just by putting the masks on them. I get that, but still, I'm wondering, would people have been, guys, let us know in the chat too, in the comments, if you're watching the clip, would people have been upset if they made these realistic head sculpts? What do you guys think?
I don't know how you would do a realistic head sculpt of that. I mean,
well, it's kind of no different than Clone Wars, right? I mean, it's like,
you're not wrong, but
I know what you're saying.
Tano doesn't look like Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
Now, I'm happy that she's on my shelf and can fit in with my other Star Wars figures, but I think I would have been just as happy if she just looked like
the animated version.
Yeah. I think it'd be weird if they were realistic. These.
Well, if you go back to the old Sideshow clones or whatever, they gave us the animated heads or whatever, but those didn't look as bad, but they also weren't. I don't know if you could do that with these because they are so stylized, and that's the whole point of Into the Spider-Verse is that they're. I mean, look at the proportions of 2099. I mean, they are stylized for effect. The Kingpin is shaped like a giant bus, essentially, with like a little tiny head. I mean, that's not going to work as a figure.
Yeah,
you know, there's no way you can do that.
Realistic head sculpt on the proportions of these bodies, even
the
Spider-Man,
it would not even be the same
look
franchise at that point.
Yeah, it'd be very weird.
Right. But again, I guess there's a comment I saw. They had live action counterparts for Clone Wars to sort of make them off of. But I mean, I don't know. It would be a challenge. But it's interesting. But look, and no one's denying the quality of these characters. I love the film. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's the best Spider-Man film maybe I've ever seen. Like it has been for the longest time. So
yeah, and I want to clarify. I think this Spider-Man 2099 looks cool. I don't think it looks cool as a Hot Toys.
Yeah, it's a Mondo. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, yeah, this looks cool, but if you're trying to put a display around these things, it's just so jarring. It's like, why is that one so different?
Like put that next to Captain America, and it would, like the Chris Evans Captain America, it would look ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, it'd be weird.
Put it next to the Tom Holland Spider-Man, it would look ridiculous.
Yeah,
but like I said, Gwen and Miles could work. Yeah, they could work.
Yeah, you could kind of futz them in, you know, if you pose them well and kind of hide their proportions. And these aren't, the proportions on these aren't as exaggerated as like even the Marvel Legends, but you could put them on any shelf and futz them in. This 2099 is why?
All they got to do is release Peter B. Parker, and people will shut up about it because that's the one they've been wanting since the first film. And
because
you know,
Kiko,
you know how people are.
But
Kiko, you even said that you know, with like Venom and Carnage, they have joints, but those are also not like traditional bodies, right? They're like fleshy and kind of what's the word? You know,
textured, organic.
They're like gooey.
Yeah, they're like gooey. So, but it's like, but this is just a guy in a suit. So that articulation doesn't lend to this character. It's so weird. I don't get it at all. It's so bad.
Yeah, I'm not at all understanding why they chose to do this, but we'll see because they haven't officially announced the figure yet. This will probably be, they just probably stuck a Mondo figure in there and they were like, oh, whoops, we put the wrong one in there. So that, and then they posted it.
I mean,
I don't know.
We've seen them do this before and they just black out the figure.
Good point.
Right.
So it's
Or
like
blur it or something. But
yeah,
but
it's
I
like,
mean, look, people love that Miles Dean from the first one. And I get it. People love it, and that's great. Like, you know, I've considered getting it for a while now, and I've kind of just held off and held off and held off, which kind of tells me I maybe don't want it that much. But you know, a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of comments, people think it's figure of the year, and that's great. You know, it's just, you know, it is a smaller figure, right? So, and you do get a lot of display options. I love him with the hoodie on him, so I would want to try that at some point. But yeah. Anyway, guys, I mean, I think we're all excited for the film, and we're all excited to see. I mean, this could be a deep line, but I guess we'll see. The first one could have been a deeper line, and they only did what, 3 figures from it, so, or two. So yeah. So I mean, I guess if you count Spider Ham, but you know, that was actually a pretty cool one. I actually really
That's
like
true. That's
that,
a nice add-on.
Yeah, it was
yeah,
a nice
and
add-on.
third-party companies were there to fill the void. You got a few Spider-Man,
Yeah, Spider Noir.
Young Rich and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say to you, Will. It's like when this comes out, you're gonna have so many options to get this Miles, whether it's
Right.
Young Rich. There was another third-party company, and forget what the company was called. The Hot Toys, now a second Hot Toys. Now it's gonna be a different suit, but it's like, you know, buyer's market at that point.
Yeah.